Hi there, Sam here, and I just want to show you one final trick that I learnt from crochet, and I use this every time I am casting off something in the round. So I do it for all my cowls, all my sleeves, for example, at the cuffs when I'm casting off, and I do it on blankets as well when going from the outside in. Now, all the way around you'll have this lovely cast off edge, a seamless pattern, all the stitches all looped in together. When it comes off to the final point where you're binding off on that last stitch, you haven't got that, you've got that break, but there is a way to make it seamless, and that's just what I'm going to show you. As I said, I learned this from crochet. So we've got our final stitch here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find the very first cast off stitch. I'm going to the front of it. So this is where the very first bit is. I'm going to put it back in focus. So here's my very first stitch. So I just want to go into the front, and essentially I want to pick up underneath that, and I want to, because we're purling on this one, I'm going to purl into that stitch and pull that over. And what that does is it joins the end of the round to the start of the round, but it doesn't give us that seamless bit just yet. We're a step closer. And cut our yarn, get a darning needle. Let's see how well I can darn the needle whilst on camera. Okay, that actually went pretty well. Okay, right, so what we're going to do is open this stitch up a little bit and remove the needle. And what we need to do is we're going to essentially bring this loop over this one. So we're going to bring this, see the loop here? We bring it up there, and we are bringing it up through this loop that we're going to be mirroring with this stitch. Don't put it too tight. And we go into that loop. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull it down for a little bit, and we want to pull it a little bit tighter and tighter, so it sort of loops over that stitch. Oh, a bit too tight. Alright, so our final loop is going to essentially lay over that very first loop. And with the yarn, we're going to sort of mimic the second stitch. So it goes over here, round under here, and it comes back round here. And this one will go into that stitch, but we want to go into this one. We want to essentially loop them over it themselves, and we go out the back. And it might take a little bit of manoeuvring just to get them to look identical. There you go. You can see all this nice loops. And look, all the loops just continue. There isn't a gap. And from there on we'll weave into the back. So I just want to show you that as just a way to create a seamless cast off edge for anything in the round. And I say I do this on blankets when I'm casting off in the round. I do it on my cowls or on hems along the bottom of jumpers, and on the cuffs around cardigan and jumper sleeves, for example. Anything where you're casting off in the round, I do that at the end just to make it look a bit seamless and a little bit neater at that final point. So that's it. Once you've woven that in, you'll need to go out block the blanket, which when I block my blankets, or when I block anything, sink full of tepid water. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of wool wash in it, sometimes I won't. I've tried all sorts over the years: shampoo, conditioner, washing up liquid, laundry powder, soap. It doesn't really make a difference, to be honest. Some of them smell, add a little bit of fragrance, but otherwise I haven't really noticed any difference to the finished garment. I just let it, oven it, sit and soak in the water for about 10 minutes. Squeeze it out inside a towel and then lay it out. Sometimes you don't, for smaller things, you don't even need to really pin them out. For something like lace, I would pin it out onto whatever. You can get blocking mats. You get some of those children's foam interlocking mats. I use either camping mats, or roll them out. Sometimes, if it's something smaller, I'll just stick it on a spare pillow. Just pin them out on a spare pillow. You don't really need anything expensive to block it. Once it's fully dry, you just unpin it and you're done. One thing I would say is when it comes to weaving in ends and trimming those, I would weave in the ends, block it, and then when it's dry I would trim off the excess. I wouldn't trim it before I block it. It's just in case when you're stretching it out, some of it, the end can come loose a little bit. Otherwise, that's it. Thank you very much for following me along and learning how to make this blanket. I hope you like your blanket, and I hope whoever you give it to likes it too and keeps them nice and warm during the summer months when you need a layer, but maybe not a full thickness layer. So that's why we've done it in the fingering weight at a nice loose gauge. So, thanks very much. Take care. Bye.